Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in again. It's always a pleasure to have you back on the channel. Today, we're diving into something truly extraordinary, a rare piece of history that most people would never expect to be worth so much, something that, if you were lucky enough to find it, could change your life forever. We're talking about a coin that many may overlook, but to those who know, its value is nothing short of jaw-dropping. The 1998 D1 coin. Now, the story of this coin starts like most others. For many, the 1998 D penny is just another penny. It's small, copper-colored, and worth only 1 cent. It's been a part of everyday life for decades, spent on groceries, saved in jars, or discarded without a second thought. But the truth is, this particular coin is far more significant than most people realize. The story of the 1998 D1 coin begins in the United States, where the US Mint, like always, produced billions of pennies to satisfy the nation's demand for loose change. But among those billions, there was one particular penny, one small fraction of those minted, that would come to be known as one of the most valuable coins in history. Let's take a moment to set the scene. The year is 1998, and the US Mint has just finished producing millions upon millions of pennies for circulation. As always, these coins were made at one of the Mint's facilities, and like most pennies, they were stamped with the image of Abraham Lincoln on the front, and on the back, the familiar Lincoln Memorial. What most people wouldn't know, however, was that among the vast quantity of pennies minted that year, a rare anomaly was waiting to be discovered, a coin so unique and rare that, if you happen to find one, it would be worth far more than the usual copper scrap metal or face value. At first glance, there's nothing special about a 1998 D penny. It might seem like any other penny that you would pick up off the ground or find in your wallet. After all, there are billions of them out there, and most people rarely think twice about the pennies that pass through their hands. However, the discovery of this particular coin would set off a chain of events that would change the way people think about rare coins forever. How did this penny, this 1998 D1 coin, become so valuable? What makes it worth a staggering $475 million? Let's go back to the moment of discovery. It was the year 2000 when the first reports of a valuable 1998 D penny began to surface. At first, it seemed like a rumor, just another tale of someone finding a rare coin that was worth far more than its face value. But as more and more collectors, coin experts, and numismatists began to examine the coin, they realized that there was something truly remarkable about this particular penny. This wasn't just an ordinary penny, but rather, a coin that had been struck with a major error during the minting process. And not just any error, this was an error that made the penny worth millions, maybe even hundreds of millions, to the right buyer. You see, there's a particular phenomenon in the world of coin collecting called minting errors. Minting errors occur when a coin is produced incorrectly during the manufacturing process, leading to a coin that is unique, or at least, extremely rare. These minting errors can take many forms, from misprints to incorrect die strikes to coins that are produced with wrong metals or in the wrong quantity. In the case of the 1998 D penny, the error that occurred was so rare and so unique that it turned what was once a simple penny into a collector's dream. The mistake in the minting process resulted in a penny that was made with a combination of metals that wasn't supposed to be used at the time. The coin was not supposed to contain the elements that made it so valuable. Instead of the typical copper and zinc mix that would have made it just another standard penny, the 1998 D penny was struck with a rare blend of metals, including some that were far more precious and valuable than copper. Experts quickly realized that this mix of metals, something that had never been seen before in a penny, was what gave the coin its immense value. The unique composition of the penny, which was not only striking in its appearance but also significant in its rarity, made it an incredibly desirable item among collectors. What was even more astonishing was the fact that this penny had somehow escaped the attention of those at the Mint. It wasn't until a few years after its creation that the true significance of this error was recognized. It was around this time that news began to spread through the numismatic community. Coin collectors and experts were buzzing with excitement, and suddenly, people began to search their change, hoping to find a 1998 D penny that might be one of the few error coins in existence. As word got out, the value of these pennies skyrocketed. no longer just a penny worth 1 cent, the 1998 D penny had become an object of great desire, one that could command a price far beyond anyone's wildest expectations. What followed next was the stuff of legends. Coins that had been sitting in people's drawers or hidden away in coin collections suddenly became worth millions of dollars. Collectors from all over the world began bidding on these coins, with some willing to pay astronomical sums just for the chance to own one. As prices soared, people began to question how such a small, seemingly insignificant coin could carry so much weight. How could a penny, something we've all seen and used countless times, suddenly be worth more than the most expensive works of art? The 1998 D penny's journey didn't stop there. As the years went by, the penny continued to rise in value, and by the time 2025 rolled around, the price tag for one of these rare pennies had reached an eye-popping $475 million. This was no longer just a rare find, it had become a symbol of wealth and status, a piece of history that only the wealthiest collectors could dream of possessing. How could a coin that was once worth so little end up being worth so much? The answer lies in the rarity of the minting era and the story of how it went unnoticed for years before being recognized as something truly extraordinary. In the world of coin collecting, the value of a coin isn't always determined by its age or its condition. Instead, it's often the rarity of the coin, the story behind it, and the historical significance that can make a coin truly priceless. And the 1998 D penny is a prime example of this. It's a coin that was created during a time when few people thought anything extraordinary would come from it. It was just another penny, destined to fade into obscurity, until that one chance discovery changed everything. Today, the 1998 D penny stands as one of the most valuable coins in history. Its value continues to increase as more and more collectors vie for a piece of this rare and remarkable find. Some might say that finding a penny worth $475 million is almost like finding a needle in a haystack. But for those lucky enough to stumble upon one of these rare pennies, it's the chance of a lifetime, an opportunity to own a piece of history and a small, but incredibly valuable, piece of American currency. But even if you never find a 1998 D penny of your own, there's something to be learned from this remarkable story. It serves as a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable things aren't always the ones that stand out at first glance. Sometimes, the greatest treasures are hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those with the knowledge, patience, and determination to find them. The 1998 D penny is proof that, in the world of numismatics, you never know what might be waiting around the corner. So, keep your eyes open, and who knows, you could be holding the next $475 million coin in your hand right now. Thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you've enjoyed this incredible journey into the world of rare coins. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Until next time, happy collecting, and remember, treasure is often closer than you think. Next 1976 1 cent USA coin. It's so great to have you with us again for another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and the unbelievable stories behind them. If you're someone who loves history, mystery, and the idea of hidden treasures, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about a coin that many of you may never have thought twice about, something that is, for all intents and purposes, a simple piece of currency. But don't let that fool you. This coin, the 1976 1 cent piece, is a true gem in the world of numismatics, and its value is enough to make even the most seasoned coin collectors stop in their tracks. We're talking about a coin worth $438 million, a piece of American history that has changed the game in the world of rare coins and become one of the most valuable pennies in the world. Now, when most people think about pennies, they probably picture those small, copper-colored coins that we find in our pockets, jangling around with loose change. They're so common that we barely notice them. In fact, many people toss pennies aside, considering them almost worthless, a relic of a bygone era. But the truth is, hidden among these common coins are some of the most valuable treasures imaginable. And the 1976 1 cent coin, while seemingly just like any other penny you might come across, is a perfect example of how an unassuming piece of currency can carry unimaginable value. To truly appreciate the story of the 1976 penny, we need to go back in time, to the year when it was minted. The year 1976 was a pivotal one in American history. It marked the bicentennial of the United States, 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. To commemorate this historic occasion, the U.S. Mint produced special bicentennial coins, including a unique version of the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins. These coins featured a reverse design that was different from the usual motifs, incorporating images that reflected the American spirit of independence and freedom. But what about the penny? Was there anything special about the 1976 1-cent piece? On the surface, it might seem like just another penny, part of the same old, same old. After all, the penny hadn't seen a major redesign since 1909, when the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln was first introduced on the front. But here's where the story takes a twist. While the bicentennial coins got all the attention, there was a little-known issue with the 1976 penny, an issue that would go unnoticed by most for decades, and ultimately lead to one of the most astonishing discoveries in the history of numismatics. The key to the 1976 penny's immense value lies in a rare and unexpected mistake that occurred during the minting process. The 1976 1-cent coin, along with its many counterparts, was produced in massive quantities, as was typical for a year when the U.S. Mint was celebrating such a major milestone. And as with all coins that are produced in such vast quantities, most of them passed through the mint without incident. But the thing about rare coins is that sometimes, in the vast sea of ordinary coins, a mistake can slip through the cracks, something that changes the coin into something entirely different. It wasn't until years later, in the early 2000s, that people started to realize that something strange had happened with a small batch of these 1976 pennies. Some of these coins, which had been minted as part of a standard production run, had been struck with a minor yet incredibly significant error. It was an error so subtle that it went unnoticed by most, even by those who were working at the U.S. Mint at the time. But this small mistake made all the difference, turning what would have been a standard, run-of-the-mill penny into one of the most valuable coins in history. The mistake was discovered by a group of coin collectors and numismatists who were examining some of the more unusual 1976 pennies. Upon closer inspection, they found that a small batch of these coins had been struck with a misalignment that resulted in a completely unique imprint on the coin. The result was a penny that, when examined closely, had an unusual pattern on the reverse side, a pattern that could not be found on any other penny ever minted. This error, while seemingly insignificant to the untrained eye, was the key to unlocking the extraordinary value of the 1976 penny. So, what makes this error so special? Why did it go unnoticed for so long? The truth is, the error was so subtle that it would have been easy for anyone handling the coin at the time to miss it. The misalignment didn't create a huge flaw in the coin's appearance, but rather, it resulted in a barely perceptible variation in the design. This small difference made the penny unique, and because of that uniqueness, it became a sought-after prize among collectors. At first, the discovery of this error coin didn't make much of a splash in the coin collecting world. But as more and more of these rare 1976 pennies were found, the news began to spread. Collectors, experts, and investors started to realize that these coins were far more valuable than anyone had imagined. The rare error made these pennies incredibly sought after, and over the next few years, their value skyrocketed. What was once a penny worth just 1 cent became a coin worth millions of dollars, and eventually, the 1976 penny became a symbol of the extraordinary wealth that could be hidden in plain sight. But what exactly makes this error coin so valuable? The answer lies in the rarity of the mistake and the fact that it occurred in such a small number of coins. Out of the billions of 1976 pennies that were produced, only a few hundred were struck with this error. That means that, even among the vast number of pennies in circulation, this particular variation is exceedingly rare. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is often the key to a coin's value, and the rarity of the 1976 penny with this error made it highly prized by collectors who were willing to pay top dollar for it. As word spread about the discovery of these rare pennies, collectors from all over the world began hunting for them. People started scouring their pockets, checking their change, and even searching through jars of old coins that had been forgotten about for years. It wasn't long before the price of a single 1976 penny began to climb. What was once a coin worth a mere cent was now fetching prices in the millions. At the peak of its value, a 1976 penny with the error was worth a staggering $438 million, an amount that was mind-boggling to anyone who had ever held a penny in their hand. This unprecedented value was a testament to the power of rarity in the world of coin collecting. It wasn't just the fact that the penny was old or that it was from a significant year in American history. It was the unique era that made this coin so special, and as more people learned about it, the demand for these rare pennies only increased. Eventually, they became one of the most sought-after coins in the world, with collectors willing to pay nearly any price to add one to their collection. But even beyond the raw financial value of the 1976 penny, the story behind this coin serves as a reminder of how even the smallest, most overlooked objects can hold immense value. It's a story of how an error, something that would normally be discarded as a mistake, can turn into a treasure worth millions. And it's a story of how a single penny, once thought to be of little significance, can become a symbol of opportunity, history, and the potential for life-changing wealth. So, how does the story of the 1976 penny end? Well, it's still unfolding. While many of these rare coins have already been discovered and sold for astronomical prices, others remain hidden out there, waiting to be found by the next lucky person who happens to stumble upon one. Whether it's tucked away in a coin jar, buried in a drawer, or hidden in some long-forgotten pile of change, there's always the possibility that another $438 million penny is out there, just waiting for its moment to shine, and who knows? The next time you reach into your pocket or go through your spare change, you could be holding the very coin that changes your life forever. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable things are the ones we least expect. Keep your eyes peeled, because treasure is often closer than you think. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most incredible coin discoveries in history. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy collecting!